The first time I saw Stella Morgan, she was wearing a black lace nightgown. The straps looked so thin they might snap at any moment. The V-neck was daringly low, and the hemline barely reached mid-thigh. She stood barefoot in the hallway, holding a trash bag, her hair draped wet over her shoulders, water trickling down the curve of her collarbone. My suitcase got stuck on the elevator threshold. "Excuse me," she said, her tone completely devoid of embarrassment. It took me a second to process. I yanked the suitcase back, not sure where to look. My eyes finally landed on an ad inside the elevator. Some laundry detergent was having a buy one get one free sale. A scent of jasmine and citrus, like expensive body wash, wafted past me as she walked by. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding as the elevator doors closed. I checked the apartment number on the door, 1502. Yep, this was a place I just rented. The realtor said the last tenant was moving out today, and I could move right in. I slid the key into the lock and turned it. The door swung open. The living room was cluttered with 5 or 6 cardboard boxes. A few pieces of clothing were draped over the sofa, and a half-finished cup of coffee sat on the coffee table. I frowned. Didn't he say she'd moved out? Then I heard the shower running. I froze. The water shut off, and the bathroom door opened. Stella walked out, toweling her hair. This time she was in a white t-shirt and denim shorts, but the black lace nightgown was slung over her arm. We stared at each other for 3 solid seconds. "Who are you?" she asked first. "I rented this apartment." I held up the key. "I'm moving in today." Stella's eyebrows shot up. "No way. My lease is through the end of the month." I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my texts with the realtor. I found a message, "Previous tenant, moves out today, you can move right in," and turned the screen toward her. Her expression darkened as she read it. She took out her own phone and dialed a number. "Mr. Roberts, what's going on? My lease is through the end of the month, so why did someone just walk in here with a key?" I couldn't make out the muffled voice on the other end, but I could see Stella getting angrier by the second. "What do you mean you messed up? It's written in black and white in the contract. A penalty fee? I don't want a penalty fee. I want to stay here until my lease is up." "You're telling him to move in? Then what am I supposed to do?" She hung up, took 2 deep breaths, and finally looked at me. The realtor screwed up. "My contract is good until the end of the month. Yours was supposed to start next month." A headache was already starting to form behind my eyes. I'd given up my old place for this apartment specifically because it was closer to work. And now they were telling me I couldn't move in? "I already terminated my old lease," I said. "And I have nowhere else to go," she shot back, crossing her arms. "Besides, I was here first." We stared at each other for another 10 seconds. I noticed her eyes were a light hazel, and they seemed to darken when she was angry. "So what now?" I asked. Stella glanced around the messy living room at her half-packed boxes. "Either you go sort this out with the realtor, or—" She paused. "Look, it's a 2-bedroom. If you absolutely have to move in today, it's not like there isn't space." I was stunned. "You mean—" "We're roommates for 2 weeks," she said, her voice crisp and decisive. "You take one room, I take the other. We share the living room, kitchen, and bathroom. At the end of the month, I move out, and the place is all yours." The suggestion was so sudden my first instinct was to say no. But then I picture myself dragging my suitcase through the city with nowhere to go, and I swallowed my refusal. "How do we split utilities?" I asked, getting practical. 50-50, she said. "We buy our own groceries and supplies. We alternate cleaning the common areas. We should probably write up a simple roommate agreement to avoid any arguments." She turned, pulled a pen and paper from her purse, and drafted a short agreement in minutes. Her handwriting was a bit messy, but the terms were crystal clear. She'd even included clauses about whose turn it was to take out the trash and how to divide up fridge space. I read it over. Seemed fair. I'm good with this. We both signed. Stella took a picture of the agreement and texted it to the realtor, a digital for your information. "You can have the guest room," she said, pointing to a room at the end of the hall. "The mattress is brand new. I just bought it last week. I'll stay in the master since I have more stuff." I nodded and dragged my suitcase into the spare room. It wasn't huge, but it had a window, and the mattress was, in fact, still wrapped in plastic. I sat down on the edge of the bed, feeling like the entire day had been some kind of bizarre fever dream. By 7, I was starving. I came out of my room to find Stella in the kitchen, making instant ramen. Want some? She asked without turning around. I made too much. No, thanks. I'll just order from DoorDash. Suit yourself. I went back to my room and scrolled through the app for half an hour, but didn't end up ordering anything. I could hear the clinking of a fork against a bowl from the kitchen and smell the savory steam of the ramen. Suddenly, takeout didn't seem so appealing. When I went back out, Stella was washing her bowl in the sink. I leaned against the doorframe. Hey, on second thought, if there's any left, I'll take it. She glanced over her shoulder at me and grabbed another bowl from the cabinet. It was just simple instant ramen, but she had added an egg and some greens, and it was hot. We sat on opposite sides of the dining table, eating in silence. What do you do for work? She asked first. I'm a game artist, I said. You? Social media marketing. Mostly for fashion and beauty brands. She twirled some noodles with her fork. So you can draw? Yeah. Characters, environments, that kind of thing. That's cool. She finished her last bite and put down her fork. I'll do the dishes, you wipe the table. It's in the agreement. Whoever cooks doesn't clean. I checked the agreement later, and sure enough, that clause was in there. By the time I finished wiping down the table, she was already done with the dishes and scrolling through her phone on the couch. Do you usually get home this late? She asked. Depends on the project. Crunch time is pretty common. I work late a lot too, she said. But I'll try to be back before 11 so I don't wake you. I nodded. An image of her in that black lace nightgown flashed through my mind, and I quickly pushed it away. Well, I'm going to turn in, I said. Wait, she stopped me. Just one more thing we should be clear on. If I'm having someone over, I'll give you a heads up. You need to do the same for me. And it's probably best if we don't have overnight guests of the opposite sex, just to avoid any awkwardness. My face felt a little warm. I wasn't planning on bringing anyone over. Good. She smiled slightly. Pleasure doing business with you, roommate. Back in my room, I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. I had a feeling this whole roommate thing was a rash decision, but it was too late to back out now. I just had to get through the next 2 weeks. I could hear music coming from the other room, some pop song. It was quiet, not loud enough to be a bother. I closed my eyes, thinking about the new project I had to report for tomorrow, and eventually drifted off. At 2 in the morning, I woke up thirsty. I tiptoed out to the kitchen for a glass of water and saw the living room light was still on. Stella was curled up on the sofa, a laptop balanced on her legs, the screen's glow illuminating her face. She was still in the white t-shirt, her hair thrown up in a messy bun, glasses sliding down her nose. Still up? I asked. She jumped, looking up at me. Oh, I have a proposal due in the morning. Did I wake you? No. I was just getting some water. I filled a glass, then hesitated. Want some coffee? She raised an eyebrow. Can you make it? Instant. That'll work. She rubbed the back of her neck. Thanks. I made 2 mugs of instant coffee and handed one to her. She took a sip, her expression unreadable. How much sugar did you put in this? 3 spoons. Way too much, she said, but took another sip anyway. But the sugar rush might help. We lapsed into silence. I stood by the sofa, unsure if I should go back to my room or sit down. I ended up sitting on the far end of the couch, leaving a 2-person gap between us. So, beauty marketing, I said, trying to make conversation. You have to write a lot of copy. Yeah, and shoot videos, edit clips, analyze data. She stared at the screen. Sometimes I seriously consider career change. Game art is pretty much the same. Endless revisions. Still left. Sounds like we're all in the same boat. She worked for another half hour while I sat there, quietly sipping my coffee. Occasionally, she'd ask for my opinion on a particular word choice, and I'd offer a suggestion. At 3 a.m., she finally closed her laptop. Done, she said, stretching. Thanks for keeping me company. No problem. I stood up. I'm going back to bed. Good night, roommate. Night. Back in bed, it took me a lot longer to fall asleep. I kept seeing the profile of her face, illuminated by the glow of her laptop screen. My alarm went off at 7 the next morning. After I washed up and got dressed, I walked out of my room to see Stella already in the kitchen, making breakfast. Want a fried egg? She asked. I'm making an extra one. Sure. Today, she was wearing a light blue blouse and black slacks, her hair pulled back neatly, with light makeup on. She looked like a completely different person from the girl in the nightgown yesterday. What time do you have to be at work? I asked. I have to clock in by 9, but I need to be there at 8:30 for a morning meeting, she said, sliding the egg onto a plate. You? 9:30, but it's my first day on new projects, so I want to get in early. After breakfast, we left together to wait for the elevator. It arrived from the first floor with 3 other people already inside. When we stepped in, it suddenly felt crowded. The elevator stopped on the 10th floor, and a mother with a stroller tried to get in. Everyone shuffled back. I instinctively put an arm out to shield Stella, worried the stroller might bump into her. She glanced up at me, but didn't say anything. When we got to the lobby, we walked out of the building. She turned left, and I turned right. "See you tonight," she said. "See you tonight," I replied. After a few steps, I turned and looked back. Her figure was getting smaller in the morning light, the sharp click of her heels echoing on the pavement. I turned back around and headed for the subway station. My mind was on the new colleagues I was about to meet, the work I was about to take on, and the roommate I was only going to have for 2 weeks. Life is full of surprises, I thought, and maybe some surprises weren't so bad. The workload for the new project was even heavier than I'd anticipated. My team lead was a man in his 40s, his hair thinning on top, but his energy boundless. He lent me my desk and clapped me on the shoulder. "Ethan, this project has a tight deadline and a ton of work. We're counting on you." I looked at the 50-page design document he'd sent over. Character concepts, environment art, prop details. I had to get initial drafts for all of it done in 2 weeks. "Just ask if you have any questions," he said before walking off. I took a deep breath and opened my drawing tablet software. I liked a challenge, but this was pushing it. At lunch, my new colleague, Kevin, slid in the seat across from me. "You the new guy? Where'd you go to school?" "An art college on the East Coast," I said. "Nice," Kevin said, shoveling rice into his mouth. "We really need someone who can draw. The last artist quit and left a huge mess." Now I understood why they were in such a rush to hire someone. I listened to Kevin complain about the project, the client, and how the cafeteria food was getting worse, all while I ate. "Where are you living?" he asked. "Parkview Towers. It's about 4 subway stops from here." "Oh, that's close. You renting with people or on your own?" I hesitated for a second, sort of with a roommate. "It's a temporary thing." Kevin didn't press. Instead, he started talking about a gaming convention that weekend and asked if I wanted to go. I thought about it and agreed. I needed to keep up with the market, and it wouldn't hurt to make some new friends. At 3 in the afternoon, I finished the first character sketch and sent it to my team lead for review. 10 minutes later, he replied, "Looks good. Keep it up." I let out a sigh of relief and stood up to get some water. As I passed the conference room, I saw a few people huddled around a smartphone, arguing about something. I glanced in and saw the interface of some kind of beauty app. It made me think of Stella. I wondered if she was in meetings just like that, fighting passionately over a line of ad copy or a new photo filter. Back at my desk, I checked my phone. No new messages. Other than the roommate agreement, Stella and I had no way of contacting each other. It was probably for the best. Keep a professional distance. I shut down my computer at 8. Kevin was still working. He waved. "See you tomorrow." The subway wasn't too crowded, and I found a seat. I opened my phone's photo gallery and found a picture of the roommate agreement I'd taken yesterday. I could see her signature. Her handwriting was messy, but her name was written clearly. Stella Morgan. It was a nice name, I thought. When I got to my front door, I hesitated for a moment before unlocking it. The living room light was on. Stella was sitting at the dining table, surrounded by an arsenal of makeup products. "You're back," she said without looking up, carefully applying something with a cotton swab. "Yeah." I took off my shoes. "What are you doing?" "Testing a new product for a review." She finally looked up. "This eyeliner claims to be smudge-proof for 24 hours. I'm putting it to the test." Her right, I was perfectly lined, but her left, I was still bare. It looked kind of funny. I fought back a laugh. "Need a hand?" "Nope, I've got it." She leaned closer to the mirror and started on her left eye. I went to the kitchen for a glass of water. By the time I came back, she was done. Both eyes were symmetrical, the lines smooth and clean. She was clearly a pro. "How's it look?" she asked, turning to me. I looked closely. "Good. It's very symmetrical." She laughed. Such a guy compliment. She stood up. "Have you eaten?" "I ordered takeout. There's some left." "Not yet." "Then let's eat." I ordered an extra portion. The takeout was Thai food, tom yum soup and green curry chicken. We sat at the table, and Stella served me a bowl of rice. "How was work?" she asked. "It was okay. Just a lot to do," I said. "You?" Same old, same old. Endless ad copy, endless meetings." She stirred her soup with a spoon. "Sometimes I wonder why I chose this field. I think every industry is like that. Maybe, she sighed, but I was an English major in college. I wanted to be an editor, but I kind of fell into this by accident. It was the same for me, I thought. I love to draw, but I never imagined it would turn into a job where I stared at a computer screen all day, making endless revisions. There's always a gap between your dreams and reality. Where'd you go to college? I asked. A state university, she said. I didn't end up teaching, though. I can't stand kids. I actually thought about being an art teacher. Why didn't you? I thought for a moment. The pay is terrible, and I don't have the best temper. Not enough patience. Stella laughed out loud. You seem pretty patient to me. I'm faking it. We both laughed. The atmosphere was a lot more relaxed than it had been yesterday. After dinner, Stella cleared the table, and I washed the dishes. Over the sound of running water, I could hear her talking on the phone in the living room. Mom, I know. Yeah, work is fine. A boyfriend? No, I'm way too busy for that. You have someone for me? No. Please, I really don't have time to be set up. I finished the dishes and dried my hands. Stella had hung up and was now hugging a throw pillow, staring into space. Family pressure? I asked. She gave me a wry smile. They're on my case every other day. I'm only 26, but they make it sound like I'm 36. Same here. I sat down on the other end of the couch. Every time my mom calls, she asks if I have a girlfriend. And what do you say? I say no, work is crazy. And then she starts telling me about the daughters of her friends and relatives. I shook my head. Last week, she sent me a picture of a girl who works at a bank. You know, a stable job. Stella looked curious. Did you meet her? No. I told her I had to work late. Smart. Stella gave me a thumbs up. I got out of setup last week by saying I had a business trip. We looked at each other and smiled, a silent understanding passing between us. We were in the same boat. It's not that I'm against relationships, Stella said suddenly. I just don't want to get married for the sake of getting married. If I meet someone I like, it'll happen naturally. If not, being on my own is fine too. I nodded. I feel the same way. So, have you been in a serious relationship before? She asked. Twice. Once in college, once after. Both ended. Why? I thought about it. The first one, we went our separate ways after graduation. It was mutual. The second, we just weren't compatible. She wanted to get married soon, and I wanted to focus on my career for a few more years. Stella seemed to be considering this. I've had 3. The first was my high school sweetheart. Sweet and innocent, but it didn't last. The second was a co-worker. After we broke up, it was so awkward I ended up quitting. The third, she paused. The third was last year. We dated for 6 months before I found out he was cheating on me. I frowned. What a scumbag. Yep. She managed a smile. So, I'm a little guarded around guys now. Hope you don't mind. Not at all, I said. It's good to be cautious. The clock on the wall struck 10. Stella yond. I should wash my face. I still have to test how long this eyeliner lasts. How do you test that? See if it smudges. She stood up. I'm going to run on the treadmill for half an hour to simulate sweating. Then I'll wash my face to see how easily it comes off. Her job sounded intense. Do you need an audience? You want to watch? She raised an eyebrow. I'm a little curious. Stella thought for a moment. Okay, sure. It's not like it's a state secret. She went into the master bedroom and came out wearing a sports bra and shorts. There was a foldable treadmill in the corner of the living room. She set it up, programmed a speed, and started a slow jog. I sat on the couch and watched. Her running form was good, her breathing even. Her ponytail swung back and forth in rhythm. After 10 minutes, a fine sheen of sweat appeared on her forehead. How's it look? She asked. The eyeliner hasn't budged, I reported honestly. Good. Let's keep going. After another 20 minutes, her top was damp with sweat. She stopped the treadmill, wiped her face with a towel, and leaned in close to the mirror to inspect her eyes. It really didn't smudge, she said, a note of pleasant surprise in her voice. This product is actually pretty good. I handed her a bottle of water. Congratulations. Thanks. She took the bottle and drank half of it in one go. Now to see how easy it is to remove. She grabbed some makeup remover and a cotton pad and started cleaning her face in front of the mirror. Her movements were practiced. In a few swipes, the eyeliner was gone. Comes off clean. Stella nodded, satisfied. I can write a positive review for this one. I looked at her face, now free of makeup. She looked different, softer. Her eyes weren't as sharp, and there were a few faint freckles across her nose. What are you looking at? She asked, noticing my gaze. Nothing. I looked away, just thinking you're really dedicated to your job. You gotta be, if you want to make a living. She gathered her makeup supplies. I'm going to shower. Do you need the bathroom first? You go ahead. I'm not in a rush. Stella disappeared into the bathroom, and a moment later, I heard the water start. I went back to my room and opened my laptop, intending to do some more drawing, but I couldn't focus. I thought about what she'd said, about being guarded around men. I couldn't blame her. After what she'd been through, anyone would be cautious. The shower stopped. A few minutes later, Stella came out in pajamas, her hair wrapped in a towel. This time, they were just plain cotton pajamas with a little bear print. All yours, she said. Thanks. When I came out of the bathroom, the living room light was off, but a sliver of light was visible from under her bedroom door. I went back to my room and lay down, listening to the faint sound of typing from next door. She's writing her review, I thought. I closed my eyes, but my mind kept replaying images of Stella running on the treadmill, of her wiping off her makeup, and the look on her face when she said she was guarded around men. I rolled over, forcing myself to go to sleep. I had to be up early tomorrow, and I had a mountain of work to do. These next 2 weeks, I thought, might be harder than I'd expected. Not because she was difficult to live with. On the contrary, it was because she was too easy to live with. And people who were easy to get along with had a way of making you let your guard down. She's just a roommate for 2 weeks, I reminded myself. That's all. On the 5th day of our cohabitation, I discovered Stella had a routine. She woke up at 6:30 every morning to do yoga on the balcony. The first time I saw her, I was stumbling to the kitchen for water, half asleep, and I saw a silhouette stretching in the dawn light. She was in form-fitting yoga clothes, her movements as fluid as a cat's. I didn't dare stare and quickly retreated to my room. But the next day and the day after that, I accidentally woke up at the same time. On the 4th day, she asked me directly, "Want to join? Your shoulders and neck look really stiff." My shoulders and neck were, in fact, a mess from staring at a computer all day. "I don't know how to do yoga." "I can teach you a few simple stretches," she said casually. "You're up anyway." And so I found myself on the balcony next to her. The early morning air was cool, the city still mostly asleep. Stella taught me a few basic poses. Downward-facing dog, cat-cow, child's pose. Inhale, extend. Exhale, relax, she said, her voice calm. I followed her instructions, feeling the muscles in my back slowly begin to loosen. Sunlight filtered through the gaps between the buildings, falling on both of us. "You do this every day?" I asked. "Yep, unless I have to work super late." She moved into a new pose. "I've been doing it for 3 years. It's good for you. I admire your discipline." "It's just a habit now." Stella finished her last pose and sat cross-legged. "Plus, it's quiet this time of morning. Good for thinking." I copied her, sitting down on the mat. She was right. It was peaceful, the sound of traffic still a distant hum. "What do you usually think about?" I asked. "Everything. Work, life, what to eat this weekend, where to go on my next vacation." She smiled. "Sometimes I wonder what I'm working so hard for." I was silent. I often asked myself the same question. Drawing was my passion, but once it became a job, that passion got mixed up with so many other things: deadlines, client feedback, market trends. "What about you?" she asked. "How to get better in my craft, how to balance work and life." I paused, and when I'll finally be able to feel secure in this city. Stella nodded. "I get that. Sometimes it feels like our generation is always running, afraid to stop. Afraid you'll get left behind if you do." We sat in comfortable silence for a while. In the distance, we heard the engine of the first bus of the day. The city was waking up. "Time to get ready for work," Stella said, standing up. "I'm cooking tonight. Any food allergies?" "Nope, I'll eat anything." "Okay, I'll figure something out." That evening, I left work on time. I even made a detour to the grocery store to pick up some fruit and yogurt. When I got home, Stella was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables. "I bought some fruit," I said, putting the bag on the table. "Thanks." She glanced over her shoulder. "Perfect for after dinner." Dinner was a spicy Cajun pasta, roasted broccoli, and a simple salad. I took a bite of the pasta and immediately felt the heat. "Too spicy?" Stella asked. "It's good. I can handle it. I'm from Louisiana, so I'm used to putting a little kick in everything," she laughed. "I'll use less next time." "No, don't. This is great." I took another bite. "It's really good." We chatted while we ate. Stella told me about a ridiculous client she had to deal with that day who wanted her to write an ad that promised their face mask would turn you into a goddess in 3 days. I told them that's false advertising and we can't write that. The client said everyone else does it, so why can't we? Stella rolled her eyes. We ended up arguing until my boss had to step in. What was the verdict? We compromised on improved skin texture in 7 days. She sighed, which is still a vague claim, but at least it's not as outrageous. I told her about my own client, who insisted on adding a pair of wings to a game character, regardless of whether it made sense for the design. I told them the character is an assassin, so wings don't fit. The client said they look cool and players would like them. I mimicked the client's voice. Ethan, you have to think about the market. Stella laughed. And what happened? I added the wings, I said with a shrug, but I designed them to be smaller and more subtle. A compromise. Sounds like none of us have it easy. After dinner, I washed the dishes without being asked. Stella cut up the fruit and arranged it on a plate. We sat on the couch and watched some random reality show. What do you usually do on weekends? She asked. Sleep, draw. Sometimes grab dinner with friends, I said. This weekend, a colleague and I are going to a gaming convention. A gaming convention? Is it fun? It's all right. You get to see new games, and there's a lot of cosplay. Stella's eyes lit up. Cosplay? I've never seen it in person. You want to come with us? The words were out of my mouth before I even realized I was going to say them. Stella thought for a moment. Would that be okay, since you're going with your coworker? It's fine. The more, the merrier, I said. Kevin is a nice guy. He won't mind. Then I'm in, she smiled. I don't have any plans this weekend anyway. I nodded, but I felt a strange flutter in my chest. Was this a date? No, of course not. We were just roommates hanging out. So why was I suddenly looking forward to it so much? On Saturday morning, Stella and I met Kevin at the subway station. When Kevin saw Stella, his eyes widened for a second, but he quickly recovered. This is Stella, my roommate, I introduced them. This is Kevin, my colleague. Hi, Stella said warmly. Hey, nice to meet you. Kevin grinned. Ethan failed to mention his roommate was so beautiful. Stella laughed. Thanks for the compliment. The convention was packed. It took us 20 minutes just to get inside. The exhibition hall was a sea of people with long lines for every game demo and cosplayers posing for pictures everywhere. Stella didn't know much about games, but she seemed fascinated. The costume on that character is incredible, she said, pointing to a girl dressed as a character from a fantasy game. It's handmade. A lot of work goes into that, I explained. Kevin was very attentive to Stella, explaining the lore of different games. I walked beside them, suddenly feeling like Kevin was talking a little too much. Let's check out that section over there, I said, pointing to a less crowded area. Sure, Stella said, following me. It was the indie games section. It was quieter, and we could take our time. Stella stopped at a puzzle game and played the demo. This is fun, she said. The art is simple, but the puzzles are really clever. I stood behind her, watching her play. Her fingers were long and slender, moving deftly across the touchscreen. When she solved the third puzzle, she laughed with delight. Am I good or what? She asked, turning to me. You're amazing, I said. Kevin came over. Oh, I know this game. It won an award at the Indie Games Festival last year. We wandered around for a while longer before grabbing lunch at the convention center's food court. Kevin went to get drinks, leaving Stella and me alone at the table. Your colleague is nice, Stella said. Yeah, he's a good guy. A little too enthusiastic, though, she laughed. He kept explaining everything to me, and I felt too bad to tell him I didn't understand most of it. I laughed too. That's just how he is. He's like that with everyone. Kevin came back with the drinks, and the conversation shifted back to work. He asked Stella what she did, and when he heard she was in beauty marketing, he seemed interested. My little sister wants to get into that field. Do you have any advice? Stella thought for a moment. She should learn the basics first, like makeup application, photography, and photo editing. Then it's best to start as an assistant to get some experience. She just graduated from college and is kind of lost, Kevin said. Would it be okay if I gave her your number? She could ask you for advice directly. Stella hesitated for a fraction of a second, but then pulled out her phone. Sure. They exchanged contact information. I watched them, and that strange feeling in my chest came back. I took a long sip of my soda and didn't say anything. In the afternoon, we watched the cosplay competition. Stella was completely engrossed. She took a ton of pictures, saying she could use the makeup and costume designs as inspiration for her work. You can actually learn a lot from cosplay makeup, she told me. Like how to use contouring to change your face shape, or how to apply false eyelashes to make your eyes look bigger. I didn't know much about that stuff, but listening to her talk about it so passionately was interesting. You know a lot about this. It's part of the job, she said, and I genuinely enjoy it. The competition ended around 4. Kevin suggested we all go out for dinner, but Stella glanced at me before saying, "Thanks for showing me around today. Dinner's on me." "Oh, we can't let you do that," Kevin said. "Consider it payment for my tour guides," she laughed. "I know a great Cajun place nearby." The 3 of us went to the restaurant. Stella ordered like a pro, spicy fried chicken, blackened catfish, and a few other classic dishes. "Can you handle spice?" she asked Kevin. "I'm from Tennessee. I can handle it." "Good." When the food arrived, Kevin and Stella hit it off, talking about everything from food to travel to their hometowns. I didn't have much to add, so I mostly just ate. "Ethan, you're quiet," Kevin pointed out. "Just listening to you guys," I said with a small smile. Stella looked at me and then changed the subject. "The best part about today was seeing so much creativity. In our line of work, running out of inspiration is the worst." "Yeah, it's the same in game development," Kevin agreed. "Sometimes a whole team pulls an all-nighter just to brainstorm one idea." Finally, something I could contribute to. Last month, we argued for 3 days over a single level design. "Who won in the end?" Stella asked. "Our team lead. He made the final call," I said. But later, the playtest data proved he was right. Experience counts for something. After dinner, Kevin said he had other plans and left. Stella and I took the subway home together. The evening rush hour was over, and the train wasn't crowded. We sat side by side, and Stella scrolled through the pictures she'd taken that day. "This one turned out really good," she said, showing me her phone. It was a picture of me, a side profile, standing in front of a giant game poster. I didn't even know she'd taken it. In the photo, I was looking up slightly, my expression focused. "When did you take this?" I asked. "I just thought it was a nice shot," she said, taking her phone back. "You don't like it? I could delete it." "No, it's fine. You can keep it." She put her phone away after a minute. "Thanks for taking me with you today." "Don't thank me. You bought us dinner." "That's different." She looked at the city lights flashing past the window. "I've lived in the city for 2 years, and I rarely go out on weekends. I'm always either working or at home." It was the same for me, I realized. Other than a few necessary social outings, I spent most of my time at home. "You should get out more," I said. "I know a few good museums." "Yeah." She smiled. "When you're not busy, maybe—" It was after 8 by the time we got home. Stella went to shower first. I sat in the living room, replaying the day in my head. I definitely felt a pang of something when Kevin added Stella on his phone. Why? I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Stella came out of the shower, her hair dripping. "You should go. The hot water might run out." "Okay." I was still thinking about it in the shower. When I came out, Stella was on the balcony, taking down some dry laundry. She was on her tiptoes, reaching for a shirt on the clothesline. The hem of her t-shirt rode up, revealing a sliver of her waist. I quickly looked away. "Need help?" "No, got it." She held the clothes in her arms. "By the way, I might have to work late a few nights next week." "Okay, good to know." "You too. Don't stay up too late," she said. "I've noticed you have dark circles under your eyes." I subconsciously touched the skin under my eyes. "Is it that obvious?" "Obvious," she said with a smile. "Get some sleep. Good night." "Good night." Back in my room, I lay in bed, unable to sleep. I opened my phone and found a picture Stella had taken of me. It was a good picture. The lighting and angle were perfect. I saved the photo to a private album. The city lights filtered through the gap in my curtains. I thought about what Stella had said about being guarded around men, and I thought about how easily she had chatted with Kevin. It seemed like she had already let her guard down around me. Was that a good thing or a bad thing? I didn't know. All I knew was that these 2 weeks of living together were about to get a lot more complicated than I'd anticipated, and she was moving out in 10 days. Monday's morning meeting dragged on forever. My team lead slammed a newly revised design document on the table. The client has changed their mind again. They want the characters to be more fierce and the environments to be more ethereal. What exactly fierce and ethereal mean, they didn't say. They want us to figure it out. A collective groan went through the room. I looked at the printout in my hands. It was covered in red and blue annotations. a chaotic work of abstract art. Ethan, you're in charge of 3 main characters. I need the revised drafts by Wednesday at the latest, my lead said, singling me out. Got it, I said, mentally calculating. Wednesday. That gave me 2 days. Back at my desk, I opened a file for the character I'd spent all last week on. Now I had to scrap it and start over, all because it wasn't fierce enough. I ordered takeout for lunch and ate at my desk. Kevin came over with his lunch tray. Not going to the cafeteria? On a deadline, I said without looking up. Client changed their mind again? Kevin sat down next to me. You'll get used to it. They've changed their minds 8 times this month already. I gave him a tired smile and took a bite of my burger. It was tasteless. By the way, your roommate Stella is really cool, Kevin said. My sister added her on social media yesterday, and she answered a ton of her questions. She was super patient. My hand paused midair. Oh yeah. Yeah, my sister was thrilled. Said she found her mentor. Kevin stirred his rice. She also said the makeup tutorial Stella posts are really helpful. It only then occurred to me that I didn't even have Stella's number. All I had was the phone number on our roommate agreement. You have her on social media? I asked. Yeah, I added her yesterday, right in front of you. Kevin gave me a strange look. You didn't? No, didn't think I needed to. You live with her, and you're not even connected on social media? Kevin laughed. You guys are formal. I didn't respond, just kept eating. That uncomfortable feeling was back, and this time it was stronger. At 3 in the afternoon, I finished the first revision and sent it to my lead. Then I stood up and headed to the break room for some air. 2 female colleagues were chatting quietly in the break room, but I still caught a few words. That's why I always say, temporary roommate situations are a recipe for disaster. I know, right? A single guy and a single girl. It's only a matter of time before feelings get involved, or they start hating each other. That's even worse. I turned around and walked away before they saw me. Back at my desk, I stared at my computer screen, unable to focus. Feelings get involved? Me and Stella? No way. We'd only known each other for a few days, and she was moving out at the end of the month. But then why did I care so much that Kevin had her on social media? Why did I remember what she looked like doing yoga? Why did I save the picture she took of me? I shook my head, forcing myself to focus on work. But my productivity was shot. I only managed to finish half a sketch that afternoon. It was 8 by the time I left. I dragged my tired body home, pausing at the door to compose myself before going in. The living room light was on, but no one was there. I heard a noise from the kitchen and found Stella stirring a pot on the stove. You're back, she said, turning. Have you eaten? Not yet. Good. I made some congee. She turned off the heat. I had to work late too, so I just made something simple. We sat at the table. The congee was soft and warm, with finely chopped greens, a little salt, and sesame oil. It was simple, but comforting. You look exhausted, Stella said. The client changed the specs. I have to redraw everything. That's rough. She nodded sympathetically. We had a problem today, too. Our model canceled at the last minute, so I had to step in. I then noticed she was wearing heavy makeup, or at least the remnants of it. The eyeshadow was still visible. You were the model? It was an emergency, she said, rubbing her face. I had to smile at a camera for 3 hours. My face is completely stiff. How did it turn out? Okay, I guess. The director said I looked natural. She smiled. But taking off all this makeup was a pain. I looked at her, and then I asked, Can I get your number? Stella paused. Why the sudden request? Just so it's easier to get in touch, I said, feeling a little awkward. In case something comes up, texting is easier than calling. Sure. She took out her phone, scanned my code. We added each other. I saw her profile picture was a photo of a sunset. Her feed was set to private, so I couldn't see anything. You don't post much? I asked. This is my professional account, so not really, she said. I barely use my personal one. Too lazy. I nodded. I scrolled through my own feed. My last post was a month ago, a link to a gaming news article. My feed is pretty boring, I warned her. It's okay. Mine too. After we finished the congee, Stella went to do the dishes. I opened my phone and saw a text from Kevin. Why is there nothing on your roommate's feed? I texted back. It's set to private. Oh, that makes sense, Kevin replied. By the way, my sister wants to take her out to dinner to thank her. Do you think she'd say yes? I stared at the text, my thumb hovering over the screen. Finally, I typed. You should ask her yourself. Good point. I will. I put my phone down. That uncomfortable feeling was back. This time I knew what it was. I was jealous. The realization startled me. Jealous? Over a roommate I'd only known for a few days? But feelings don't follow logic. Stella came out of the kitchen and saw me staring into space. What are you thinking about? Nothing. I stood up. I've got more work to do. Don't stay up too late, she said. Your health is important. I know. Back in my room, I opened my laptop but couldn't bring myself to draw. I clicked on Stella's profile picture and stared at the sunset. Where was it taken? When? I opened our chat, wanted to type something, but I didn't know what. I typed thanks for the kanji, then deleted it. Too formal. In the end, I didn't send anything. I closed the chat and forced myself to work. At 11, I finally finished the second draft. I saved the file and rubbed my sore eyes. The living room light was still on. I went out and saw Stella curled up on the couch, watching something on her tablet. Still up? I asked, watching a show to unwind. She took off her headphones. Are you done? Yeah, for tonight. She put her tablet aside. That sounds tough. I'm used to it. I sat down in the armchair next to the couch. What are you watching? An old show, Game of Thrones. This is my third time watching it. Is it good? It's amazing. The plot, the acting, everything, she said. And every time I watch it, I notice new details. I'd heard of it but never seen it. We sat in silence for a moment, the only sound coming from the tablet. Have you found a new place yet? For when you move out? I asked suddenly. She shook her head. Haven't had time to look. I'll check some places out this weekend. Need any help? I can help you move. No, it's fine. I don't have much stuff. I could just get a U-Haul. She smiled. But thanks for the offer. No problem. I paused. You know, you could stay a few more days if you need to. I'm not in a rush. She looked at me. The contract ends at the end of the month, so I should be out by then. Besides, you rented the whole apartment. It wouldn't be right for me to overstay. But you haven't found a place yet. I'll find one. Her tone was light. Worst case, I'll stay in a hotel for a few days or crash at a friend's place. I wanted to say you can stay here, but I held my tongue. On what grounds? We were just temporary roommates. I hope you find a place you like, I said instead. Thanks. She yawned. I'm getting sleepy. I'm going to bed. You should get some rest too. Okay. Good night. Good night. She went into her room and closed the door. I sat on the couch for a little longer, staring at her door, before getting up and going back to my own room. I lay in bed, my mind a mess. Work, Stella, Kevin's text. It was all jumbled together. Finally, I opened my phone, went to my chat with Stella, and sent a message. Good night. A few minutes later, she replied, good night. Sweet dreams. Just 4 simple words, but I read them over and over. I took a screenshot, then turned off my phone and closed my eyes. This wasn't right, I thought. I was getting too invested. But the feeling was already there, growing like a vine, and I couldn't stop it. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. I made breakfast, fried eggs, bacon, and toast. When Stella came out, she looked surprised. Wow, what's the occasion? I was up early, so I just made a little extra, I said. Sit down and eat. She sat down and took a bite of an egg. Not bad. It's all right. We ate in silence. The morning sun streamed through the window, casting warm yellow patches on the table. What time do you get off work today? She asked. Not sure. I might have to work late, I said. You? Me too. I have a proposal to finish. So tonight, I probably won't be home for dinner. I'll just grab something near the office, she said. Don't wait for me. Okay. The conversation should have ended there. But I added, don't work too late. Be safe. She looked at me and smiled. Okay, Mom. The nickname made my ears burn. I looked down at my plate and didn't say anything else. When we left, we waited for the elevator together. It came down from a higher floor. When the doors opened, a young couple was inside, holding hands and laughing. We stepped in and stood in the corner. The couple got off on the 10th floor, leaving just the two of us. What's the longest relationship you've ever been in? Stella asked suddenly. I thought about it. 1.5 years. In college. Why did you break up? We were going in different directions after graduation. She went back to her hometown, and I stayed here, I said. It was amicable. We're still friends. That's good, she said. My longest was 2 years. It ended when I found out he was cheating. It was a mess. So that's why you said you're guarded around men. Yeah. She watched the floor numbers change. But I know not all guys are like that. It just takes time to learn to trust again. The elevator reached the first floor. The doors opened, and we walked out. You're being very philosophical today, I said. Gotta be deep sometimes, she said with a laugh. All right, I'm off. See you tonight. See you tonight. I watched her walk toward the subway station, and something in my chest softened. I knew then that I was starting to fall for my roommate of 2 weeks, and she was moving out in 7 days. On Wednesday afternoon, I sent the revised drafts to my team lead. 5 minutes later, he replied, approved. I leaned back in my chair and let out a long sigh. I had been working until the early hours of the morning for the past 3 days to get it done. My eyes were dry and sore, and my shoulders were as stiff as a board. Kevin came over. Done? Let's go. I'll buy you a coffee. We went to the coffee shop downstairs. Kevin ordered 2 Americanos and found a quiet corner. You haven't been yourself lately, he said. I stirred my coffee. What do you mean? I can't put my finger on it, but you seem distracted, he said, studying me. Is it because of work or something else? I didn't answer. Is it about your roommate? He asked tentatively. How did you know? Just a guess. He smiled. I saw the way you looked at her at the convention. It was obvious. My hand trembled, and I nearly spilled my coffee. Was it that obvious? Not really, but I know you, he said. You had the same look on your face when you had a crush on that senior in college. He was right. I had a huge crush on a senior in college. I pursued her for 3 months, but then she went to study abroad, and that was the end of that. She's moving out at the end of the month, I said. So he asked, if you like her, ask her out. Just because she's moving out doesn't mean you can't see her anymore. We've only known each other for 10 days. Time doesn't matter. It's about the connection, he said with a shrug. My girlfriend and I got together after 2 weeks, and we've been together for 3 years now. We're doing great. I knew Kevin had a serious girlfriend. They were planning to get married next year. But she's guarded around men, I said, telling him about what had happened with Stella's ex. Kevin listened, then thought for a moment. Okay, you need to be careful then. Don't rush things. But you have to show her you're interested. Otherwise, how will she know? How do I do that? Ask her out to dinner. Get her a gift. Show her you care, he said. But be casual about it. Don't be too intense. His advice was vague, but I knew I had to do something. Otherwise, once she moved out, we might never see each other again. By the way, my sister is taking Stella out to dinner tomorrow to thank her for her advice, Kevin said. Want to come? I hesitated. Is that appropriate? Of course it is. The more, the merrier, he said. Plus, my sister's bringing her boyfriend. It'll be awkward if I'm the only single one. Okay, I'll go. We set a time and place, then went back to the office. I wanted to text Stella about dinner tomorrow, but I decided it would be better to tell her in person. When I got home, she wasn't back yet. I took a shower, changed my clothes, and waited for her in the living room. At 8:30, I heard the key in the lock. Stella came in, holding a takeout bag. Have you eaten? She asked. Not yet. I was waiting for you. She paused. Waiting for me? Yeah, I have something to tell you, I said, standing up. You should eat first. We sat at the table. She had bought a spicy hot pot, enough for 2. She gave me a portion. What's up? She asked. Tomorrow night, Kevin's sister is taking you out to dinner to thank you for your advice, I said. Kevin invited me too. Are you going? She thought for a moment. Yeah, I should go. It would be rude not to. Okay, then we could go together. Where are we eating? I told her the name and address of the restaurant. She nodded. I know that place. It's not far from my office. We ate in silence. The hot pot was incredibly spicy. I was sweating, but Stella didn't even flinch. You can really handle your spice, I said. I grew up with it, she said with a laugh. Back home, everything is spicy. After we finished and cleaned up, she went to take a shower. I sat on the couch, thinking about how I should act tomorrow. Be casual, Kevin had said. But what did that even mean? Stella came out of the shower, her hair still wet. Do you have to work late tomorrow? She asked. No, I finished my project. That's great. We can have a proper dinner then. She toweled her hair. I'm going to get a trim tomorrow, after work. Your hair looks fine, I blurted out. She laughed. A girl always wants to look her best. Besides, minds are a little split. I didn't know much about that stuff, but I thought she looked beautiful no matter what. I didn't dare say that out loud. By the way, I found an apartment, she said suddenly. My heart sank. So soon. Yeah, a colleague recommended it. It's closer to my office, and the rent is reasonable, she said. I'm going to see it this weekend. If it's good, I'll take it. That's great, but I'm going to miss this place, she said, looking around the living room. It's actually been really nice living here. You can stay, I said again. I don't mind. She shook her head. A deal's a deal. I said I'd be out by the end of the month. It's not about taking advantage. I know you mean well, she interrupted, but we need to have boundaries. I fell silent. Boundaries. The word felt like a wall between us. I'm going to dry my hair, she said, disappearing into her room. I stayed on the couch, an empty feeling in my chest. She'd found a place. She was leaving soon. Maybe this was all there would ever be between us. The next evening, Stella and I went to the restaurant together. Kevin and his sister, Chloe, were already there. Chloe was with a guy in glasses, who I assumed was her boyfriend. This is my sister, Chloe, and her boyfriend, Mark, Kevin introduced them. This is Stella, and this is Ethan. We all said hello. Chloe was bubbly and immediately started chatting with Stella. Stella, that contouring trick you told me about is a game changer. All my friends were asking me what I did differently. I'm glad it worked for you, Stella said with a smile. Your skin is amazing. What products do you use? The two of them launched into a conversation about beauty products. Mark didn't seem to know what to say, so he, Kevin, and I talked about video games. The dinner was lively and fun. Afterward, Chloe and Mark left, saying they were going to catch a movie. The three of us walked down the street together. Thanks for tonight, Stella said. Chloe is adorable. She's a chatterbox, Kevin laughed. I hope she didn't talk your ear off. Not at all. I really like her. When we reached the subway station, Kevin's line went in a different direction. I'm off, he said. You two have a good night. Now it was just me and Stella. The entrance to the station was busy, the neon lights of the city blurring around us. I had a really good time tonight, Stella said. Me too. I looked at her. So, when are you seeing the apartment this weekend? Saturday morning, she said. A colleague is going with me. Do you want to come? No, it's okay. You should rest this weekend, she said with a smile. You've been working so hard. The train arrived, and we got on. It wasn't too crowded. We sat side by side. She looked at her phone, and I looked at our reflections in the window. Will we still keep in touch after you move out? I asked suddenly. She looked up, surprised. Of course. We're friends. Friends. The word made me feel a little better, but it still wasn't enough. Good, I said. When we got to our stop, we walked home together. The night was dark, the streetlights casting long shadows behind us. I walked on the outside, closer to the street, so she could walk on the inside. You're always so thoughtful, she said. It's a habit. Were you like this with your ex-girlfriends? I thought for a moment. Pretty much. They must have been very happy, she said. We broke up, so I wouldn't say that. She was silent for a moment. Sorry, I shouldn't have asked. It's okay. It's in the past. When we reached our building, the security guard saw us and smiled. The young couple is back late again. My face flushed, and I was about to correct him, but Stella just smiled and said, Yeah, we had to work late. In the elevator, I asked, Why didn't you say anything? About what? She said, pressing the button for our floor. He was just making small talk. It would have been more awkward to correct him. I guess. When we got back to the apartment, Stella said she was tired and went to take a shower. I sat in the living room, thinking about what the security guard had said. The young couple. A strange feeling washed over me. What would it be like if we really were a couple? I shook my head, trying to clear the thought. Stella came out of the shower and saw me staring into space. What are you thinking about? Nothing. I stood up. I'm going to take a shower. Okay. In the shower, I made a decision. I had to tell her how I felt. Before she moved out, she had to know. But how? When? I still hadn't figured that out. When I came out, she had already gone to her room. I walked to her door, raised my hand to knock, then lowered it. It was too late. It wasn't the right time. I went back to my room and lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. 5 days left. I only had 5 days. On Friday morning, Stella was already gone when I woke up. There was a note on the table. I had to go in early for a meeting. Breakfast is in the kitchen, just heat it up. There was a wrapped sandwich and a carton of milk in the kitchen. I heated up the sandwich and sat at the table, eating slowly. She's always so thoughtful, I thought. I was distracted all day at work. I kept making mistakes on my drawings, so much so that even my team lead noticed. Ethan, are you okay? You look tired. Maybe you should go home early. No, I'm fine, I said, rubbing my temples and forcing myself to focus. At lunch, Kevin found me again. We sat in a corner of the cafeteria, and he got straight to the point. Have you told Stella yet? Told her what? That you like her. I shook my head. Not yet. Why not? You said she found a new place and is moving out soon. That's why it's hard to say anything, I sighed. What's the point? It would just make things awkward for her. How do you know it would make things awkward? He asked, confused. What if she likes you too? I had considered that possibility, but I was afraid to take the risk. Stella had said she was guarded around men. If I confessed, and she rejected me, we might not even be able to be friends. I need to think about it more, I said. It's your call, he said, shaking his head. But just remember, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I knew he was right, but I was still scared. At 4, I got a text from her. I have to work late tonight. Don't wait for me for dinner. I replied, okay, take care. You too. It was a simple exchange, but I read it over and over. I wanted to ask her when she was going to see the apartment on Saturday, but it felt too forward, so I didn't. After work, I didn't go straight home. I went to the mall and just wandered around. I passed a jewelry store and saw a necklace in the window. It was a simple silver chain with a small star-shaped pendant. It would look perfect on her, I thought. A saleswoman came over. Can I help you, sir? That necklace. I pointed to the display. That's our new Starlight collection. It's very popular, she said, taking the necklace out. Would you like to take a closer look? I held the necklace in my hand. The pendant was intricately designed, with fine lines etched into the star, making it sparkle in the light. I'll take it, I said. After I bought it, I immediately regretted it. It was too expensive, too obvious. Would she even accept it? Would she think I had an agenda? But I'd already bought it. It was 8 by the time I got home. Stella wasn't back yet. I hid the necklace box in my drawer, planning to give it to her at the right time. At 10:30, she finally came home. She looked exhausted and collapsed onto the couch as soon as she walked in. What's wrong? I asked. A project went south, she said, her eyes closed. We were supposed to finish shooting today, but the model backed out at the last minute, demanding more money. We couldn't agree, so now we have to find someone else, and the whole schedule is messed up. What are you going to do? Find a new model, reschedule everything. She sighed. There goes my bonus this month. I went to the kitchen and got her a glass of warm water. Here. Thanks. She took it and sipped slowly. Sometimes I just want to quit. Then quit. Easier said than done. She gave me a tired smile. I have rent to pay, bills to pay. I can't just quit. I sat in the armchair across from her. I can lend you money. You can pay me back when you find a new job. She opened her eyes and looked at me. Why are you so nice to me? I was at a loss for words. Why? Because I liked her. But I couldn't say that. We're friends, I finally said. She looked at me for a moment, then smiled. Yeah, friends. She closed her eyes again. I have to see that apartment tomorrow. I hope it works out. Otherwise, I'll be homeless. You won't be. You can stay here, I said for the 3rd time. She shook her head, but didn't say anything else. After a while, her breathing evened out. She had fallen asleep. I got up quietly and draped a blanket over her. She stirred but didn't wake up. I knelt by the couch and looked at her sleeping face. She always looked so focused or cheerful when she was awake. Now, she looked so peaceful and soft. Her eyelashes were long, casting a faint shadow on her cheeks. I reached out, wanted to touch her face, but stopped myself. I stood up and went back to my room. I didn't sleep well that night. I dreamed that she moved out, and I was chasing after her, but couldn't catch up. I woke up before dawn and lay in bed, listening for any sound from the other room. At 7, I heard her get up. I got up too, pretending I had just woken up. Morning, she said from the kitchen, making coffee. Why are you up so early? Couldn't sleep, I said. Are you going to see the apartment now? Yeah, my colleague is picking me up at 9. She looked at me. You don't look well. Did you not sleep? A little. You should go back to bed. It's still early. I shook my head. No, I'll walk you downstairs. She looked surprised. You don't have to. My colleague is driving. I want to, I insisted. She didn't argue. We had a quick breakfast, and at 8:30, her phone rang. My colleague is here. I'm heading down. I'll walk you. We went downstairs together. A white sedan was parked at the entrance of the complex. A woman with short hair was in the driver's seat, waving at Stella. That's my colleague, Olivia, Stella said. I nodded at Olivia. She looked me up and down with a knowing smile. I'm off, Stella said. Okay, call me if you need anything, I said. She got in the car, and Olivia drove off. I stood there, watching the car until it disappeared around the corner. I went back to the apartment, which now felt empty. Her things were still here, her jacket on the couch, her half-empty water bottle on the table. But the life of the apartment was gone. The place had only started to feel like a home when she moved in. Now that she was leaving, it would go back to being just an empty space. I sat on the couch and picked up her water bottle, staring at it for a long time. At noon, I got a text from her. I saw the apartment. "It's nice. I'm taking it." I replied, "Congratulations." "Thanks. I'm moving next Saturday." Next Saturday. That was only 6 days away. "Need any help?" I asked. "No, I'll just get a moving van. But if you're free, you can come over and help me unpack." "Okay, I'll be there." I put down my phone and made a decision. I had to give her the necklace. Before she moved out, that afternoon, I started cleaning. I tidied up the living room, wiped down the kitchen until it was spotless. As I worked, I felt like a husband waiting for his wife to come home. The thought made my face flush. In the evening, Stella came back. She was in a good mood, holding a cake box. "Olivia bought me cake. I brought a slice back for you," she said, putting the box on the table. "It's chocolate. I hope you like it." "I do," I said. "How was the apartment?" "It's great. A one-bedroom, south-facing, lots of light," she said, sitting down. "It's a little far from the subway, about a 10-minute walk." "That's not too bad." "Yeah, it's a little more expensive than here, but it's worth it to have my own place." She opened the cake box. "Here, let's eat it while it's fresh." We shared the cake. It was rich and dark, not too sweet. "Thank you," she said suddenly. "For what?" "For everything. For taking care of me these past couple of weeks," she said, looking at me seriously. "You're a really good person, Ethan." My heart clenched. It sounded like a farewell. "You're a good person, too," I said. She smiled. "Then we're both good people." After we finished the cake, she said she was going to start packing and went to her room. I sat in the living room, listening to the sound from her room, my chest tightening. I opened my drawer and took out the necklace box. I opened it. The starlight pendant shimmered in the light. Should I give it to her now, or on the day she moves out? I still hadn't decided. Her door opened, and she came out with a stack of books. "I'm done with these. Do you want them? Otherwise, I'll just donate them." I glanced at them. A few novels, a few books about beauty and makeup. "Let me see." She put the books on the coffee table and went back to her room. I flipped through them and found a handmade bookmark in one of the novels. It was a small, hand-drawn flower. I took it out. On the back, in small, neat handwriting, it said, "May every day be filled with sunshine." It was her handwriting. I carefully put the bookmark back in the book. I want to keep this book and this bookmark. At 10, she came out for a glass of water. She saw me still sitting in the living room. "Why are you still up?" "I was waiting for you," I said. "Waiting for me?" she asked, confused. I stood up and walked over to her. My heart was pounding and my palms were sweaty. "I have something for you," I said. "What is it?" I took out the necklace box and opened it. The starlight pendant glowed in the light. She was stunned. "This is a gift," I said. "A housewarming gift." She looked at the necklace, then at me. "This is too much. I can't accept it." "It's not. It's just a small token," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "Please, just take it." She was silent for a moment. "Ethan, why are you giving this to me?" "Because..." I took a deep breath. "Because I like you." The words were out. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. In fact, it was a relief. Her eyes widened. She clearly wasn't expecting that. She opened her mouth, but didn't say anything. "I know we haven't known each other for long, and I know you're moving out at the end of the month," I continued. "But I just had to tell you. You don't have to give me an answer right now. I don't want to make things awkward. I didn't want to have any regrets." The only sound in the room was the ticking of the clock. She looked down at the necklace, her fingers tracing the edge of the box. "Ethan," she finally said, I need some time to think." "Okay." I nodded. "Take your time. There's no rush." She looked up, meeting my eyes. "Thank you for telling me. And thank you for the gift." She took the box from me. "I'll take this for now, but it's too much. I can't just accept it. On the day I move out, I'll have a gift for you too." "Okay. Well, I'm going to bed," she said. "Good night." "Good night." She went back to her room and closed the door. I stood there, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. She said she needed time to think. That wasn't an outright rejection. There was still hope. I went back to my room and lay in bed, replaying the scene in my head. I had said it. I had finally said it. Whatever happened, I wouldn't regret it. Her room was quiet. She was probably thinking too. What was she thinking? Would she accept me? Or reject me? I didn't know. All I could do was wait. And I knew it was going to be a long night. The next morning, I woke up early. I made breakfast and sat at the table, waiting for Stella to come out. At 7:30, her door opened. She was in her pajamas, her hair messy, with faint dark circles under her eyes. It looked like she hadn't slept well either. "Morning," I said, trying to sound casual. "Morning." She came and sat down, taking a glass of milk I offered her. We ate in silence. The atmosphere was a little tense, different from usual. "Do you have plans today?" I asked. "I have to work. We have a video to finish," she said. "You?" "Me too, but I should be done by the afternoon." "Oh." We fell silent again. I wanted to say something, but I didn't know what. We used to be able to talk so easily, but now it felt like there was a wall between us. After breakfast, she went to get ready. I cleared the table, my stomach in knots. She was still thinking. She hadn't given me an answer yet. When we left, we waited for the elevator together. It came down from a higher floor, empty. "About last night," I started to say, but the elevator doors opened, and our neighbor, an older woman, got in with her grocery basket. "Morning, Ethan." "Morning, Stella," she said cheerfully. "Go to work together again?" "Yeah," I mumbled. "I'm so jealous of you young people." "Always together," she said with a smile. "I wish my son was half as thoughtful as you, Ethan." Stella smiled, but didn't say anything. I felt awkward, but also a little pleased. When we got to the first floor, the woman left. As we walked out of the building, Stella said, "About last night, I'm still thinking. Can you give me some time?" "Okay." I nodded. "I told you, there's no rush." "Thanks for understanding," she said, looking at me. I need to be sure about some things." "I get it." We went our separate ways at the subway station. I watched her walk away, that feeling of unease still in my chest, but it was better than yesterday. At least she wasn't avoiding me or being cold. At work, I forced myself to focus. I had to finish detailing a new environment, and it was a big task. At lunch, Kevin came to find me, and his first question was, "Did you tell her?" "I did, and she said she needs time to think." Kevin slammed his hand on the table. "That's a good sign. If she wasn't interested, she would have rejected you on the spot." "Really?" I wasn't so sure. "Of course. When a girl says she needs time to think, it means she's seriously considering it," he analyzed. "If she didn't feel anything for you, she would have just friend-zoned you." That made sense. A glimmer of hope sparked within me. "So what's your next move?" Kevin asked. "I wait," I said. "I give her time. I don't pressure her." "Good call. Don't rush it," he agreed. "That would just mess things up." After lunch, I went back to my desk, feeling a lot better. I opened my software and found that I was working much more efficiently than in the morning. At 3, I got a text from her. "I might have to work really late tonight. Don't wait for me for dinner." I replied, "Okay, take care of yourself." "You too." It was a simple exchange, but I read it over and over. She was the one who texted me first. That had to mean something. When I left work, I didn't go straight home. I finished my work, double-checked it, and then shut down my computer. The sky was already dark when I left the building. I decided to go to her office building. I knew where it was, but not which floor. I stood across the street, looking at the lit-up windows. Maybe one of those is her office, I thought. I stood there for half an hour, feeling kind of stupid. I was about to leave when I saw her walk out of the building. She wasn't alone. A man was with her, and they were talking as they walked. My heart sank. The man was tall, in a suit, and looked very professional. They seemed to be having an intense conversation, and she even laughed a few times. I instinctively hid behind a tree. I watched as they reached the curb, and the man hailed a taxi. He opened the door for her like a gentleman. She got in, he followed, and the car drove away. I stood there, frozen. The hope that had been building up all day vanished in an instant. So that's what she meant by needing time to think. It wasn't because she was unsure about me. It was because she had other options. I laughed at myself. Of course. A woman like her, smart, beautiful, kind, of course she would have other guys interested in her. What was I? Just a roommate she'd known for a couple of weeks. I walked home slowly. I passed the jewelry store, and the starlight necklace was still in the window. I glanced at it, then walked faster. The apartment was empty. Her things were still here, but she wasn't. Soon, even her things would be gone. I sat on the couch and turned on the TV, but didn't watch it. I just stared at the clock, counting the minutes. 11 o'clock. She still wasn't back. I wanted to text her, but I didn't have the right. We were nothing to each other. At 11:30, I heard the key in the lock. She came in and looked surprised to see me in the living room. "You're still up?" "Yeah." I stood up. "Have you eaten?" "I have." "A colleague treated me," she said, taking off her shoes. "Why are you still up?" "Couldn't sleep." She came over and sat in the armchair across from me. "Ethan, I need to talk to you." My heart sank. "Here it comes. The rejection. Go ahead." "About what you said yesterday," she started. "I've thought about it." I braced myself. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would burst out of my chest. She paused. "I don't think I can accept your feelings." I knew it. I had expected it, but hearing her say it still felt like a punch to the gut. I forced a smile. "It's okay. I understand." "No, it's not what you think," she said quickly. "It's not that I don't like you. It's just, I'm not ready for a new relationship." I was stunned. "What happened with my ex really messed me up," she said, looking down. "I need time to heal, time to learn to trust someone again. You're a great guy, a really great guy. But I don't want to be with you just because I'm lonely or grateful. That wouldn't be fair to you." I understood. She wasn't rejecting me. She was just rejecting the idea of a relationship right now. "I can wait," I said. She looked up, her eyes wide with surprise. "Wait?" "Yeah, I can wait until you're ready," I said, my voice firm. "However long it takes." Her eyes welled up. "Why are you so good to me?" "Because I like you," I said. "When you like someone, you want to be good to them. There's no reason." A tear rolled down her cheek. I panicked and looked around for a tissue, but she wiped it away herself. "Sorry, I'm such a crier," she said, sniffling. "Ethan, I don't want to make you wait. That's not fair to you either." "I'll decide what's fair to me," I said. "I'm choosing to wait. You don't have to feel pressured." She looked at me for a long time. Finally, she said, "Give me 3 months. After 3 months, if I'm still not ready, then you should move on." "Okay," I nodded. 3 months. "And during these 3 months, we're still friends," she said. "After I move out, we can still keep in touch. And if I'm ready after 3 months, I'll tell you." "Okay." She stood up. "I'm going to bed. You should get some rest too. Good night." She went to her room. I sat on the couch, the hope that had been extinguished now rekindled. She said she did not like me. She just needed time. 3 months. I could wait 3 months. The next day was Sunday. Stella continued packing, and I helped her. We acted like we normally did, but something was different. Our gazes lingered a little longer, and our words were a little softer. "This book is for you," she said, handing me the novel with the handmade bookmark. "I saw you looking at it the other day." "Thanks." I took it and opened it. The bookmark was still there. "I drew that bookmark too," she said. "It's yours now. I'll take good care of it." She smiled and went back to packing. She really didn't have much stuff. Everything fit into 2 large boxes. "I hate moving," she said. "Every time I move, it feels like I'm saying goodbye to a part of my life." "Is it like that this time?" I asked. "This time?" She thought for a moment. "This time it's not a goodbye. It's a new beginning." I looked at her, a warm feeling spreading through my chest. If it wasn't a goodbye, then we still had a future. That night, we ordered takeout and ate on the living room floor. It was our last weekend as roommates. "I'll help you move next Saturday," I said. "Okay," she said, not refusing this time. "And after you move, I'll take you out to dinner to celebrate. That's going to cost you. It's worth it." She smiled. Her eyes crinkled when she smiled. It was beautiful. I looked at her, my heart overflowing. 3 months. I would wait for her. And in those 3 months, I would show her how sincere I was and help her let her guard down. After dinner, we watched a movie. We chose a comedy and laughed until our sides hurt. She fell back on the couch, laughing, and I looked at her, feeling a profound sense of happiness. The movie ended at 11. She yawned. "I am sleepy. Go get some rest. Good night." I watched her close her door, my heart full of hope. In 3 months, maybe we could finally be together. I went back to my room, opened the novel, and looked at the bookmark. May every day be filled with sunshine. I wanted to be her sunshine, waiting for the day she was ready to accept it. That night, I slept soundly. I dreamed that she was standing in a field of sunshine, smiling at me. On Monday morning, I woke up in a great mood. I made a big breakfast and waited for Stella. When she came out of her room, she was already dressed for work, with light makeup on. What's with the feast? A celebration, I said. What are we celebrating? That we have 3 months, I said, smiling and pushing a glass of milk toward her. She paused and laughed. You're unbelievable. Unbelievably what? Unbelievably hard to say no to, she said, sitting down. Thanks for breakfast. You're welcome. We ate and talked like we always did, then left for work together. But today, the atmosphere was much lighter. The awkwardness was gone. At the subway station, she said, I'll try to get home early tonight. We can cook. Okay, I'll buy the groceries. Then I'll cook. I nodded and watched her go. I felt like my life was full of hope. At work, Kevin immediately came over. Any updates? She said she needs 3 months. I told him. 3 months? Why? I told him what she had said. He listened, then clapped me on the shoulder. Man, you've got your work cut out for you. I'm willing to wait. Then wait, he said. But 3 months isn't that long. You have to show her you're serious. I will. At lunch, I went to the grocery store and bought all of her favorite foods. I knew she liked fish, so I bought a fresh sea bass, along with some tofu and greens. I was incredibly productive that afternoon. Even my team lead praised me. Ethan, you're on fire today. Just a good day, I guess, I said humbly, but all I could think about was dinner with Stella tonight. I rushed home after work. She wasn't back yet, so I started prepping the vegetables. At 6:30, she came home, holding a bag of fruit. I bought strawberries for dessert. Great. I took the bag. I already cleaned the fish. How do you want to cook it? Let's steam it. It's simple and delicious. She washed her hands and put on an apron. We worked together in the kitchen, a perfect team. I was her sous chef, and she was the head chef. Soon, we had steamed sea bass, mapo tofu, and garlic stir-fry greens on the table. Dinner's ready, she said, taking off her apron. We sat across from each other. She put a piece of fish on my plate. How is it? I took a bite. Delicious. It's so fresh. Good. She took a bite herself. I'm not a great cook, actually. I only know a few dishes. I think it's amazing. Thanks for the support. We talked as we ate. She told me about a problem at work. A partner had backed out at the last minute, and she had to scramble to find a new supplier. Sometimes, trust in the workplace is more fragile than in a relationship, she said. But there are still people you can trust, I said. Like you? She asked, looking at me. Yeah, like me, I said seriously. I'll show you that you can trust me. She smiled. You already have. After dinner, we did the dishes together. I washed and she dried. We were a good team. I'm going to miss this after you move out, I said. We can still keep in touch, she said. And you said in 3 months. Yeah, in 3 months, I said, looking at her. I'll be waiting. She looked down, focusing on drying a plate, but I saw that her ears had turned red. After we finished, we sat on the couch and watched a documentary about the stars. The visuals were stunning, and the narrator's voice was calm. Look, the stars, she said, pointing at the screen. Don't they look like the necklace you gave me? They do, I said. Is that why your name is Stella? Yeah, my parents named me that. They hoped I would be graceful and elegant, she said with a laugh. But I'm not. I'm not graceful at all. I like you just the way you are, I said. You're real. You're not trying to be someone you're not. Thanks. She leaned back in a couch. I wanted to be an astronomer when I was a kid, but then I realized I was terrible at physics, so I gave up. I wanted to be a comic book artist. Why didn't you? I realized it was hard to make a living, so I became a game artist instead, I said. But it's close enough, I guess. I'd love to see your drawings sometime. Sure. I'll put together a portfolio for you. The documentary ended, and the credits rolled. She yawned. I'm sleepy. Go get some rest. Good night. She went to her room. I turned off the TV and went to mine. I opened my laptop and started putting together my portfolio. I wanted her to see my work, to see my world. The week flew by. Every day, I made her breakfast, and every night, we had dinner together, talked, and watched movies. We were like a real couple, but we never crossed any lines. On Friday night, she said, I'm moving out tomorrow. I'm going to miss this. Miss what? I asked. This place. And she trailed off, but I knew what she meant. I'll come visit you often, I said. Really, really, as long as you don't get tired of me. I won't, she said with a smile. You're always welcome. On Saturday morning, the moving van arrived on time. I helped her carry her boxes downstairs while she directed me. Be careful with that box. It's fragile, she said. Got it, I handled it with care. 2 large boxes and a few smaller ones. It didn't take long to move everything. She did a final sweep of the apartment to make sure she hadn't forgotten anything. "Let's go," she said. We got in the moving van with the driver and went to her new place. The new complex was nice, with a lot of greenery. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor, south-facing, just as she'd said. It was full of light. "It's nice, right?" she asked. "Yeah, it's great." I helped her carry her boxes inside. The apartment wasn't big, but it was clean and cozy. She started unpacking, and I helped. "Where does this go?" "On the bookshelf." "And this?" "In the closet." We worked all morning and finally got everything in place. She sat on the floor, exhausted. "Finally done." "You worked hard," I said, handing her a bottle of water. "You too. Thanks for your help." "Of course." For lunch, I took her to a restaurant near her new place. We ordered a few dishes and ate slowly. "So now we're neighbors," I said, "even if we're a little far apart." "4 subway stops isn't that far," she said. "You can come over whenever you want." "Okay." After lunch, I walked her home. At the entrance to her building, I said, "I won't come up. You should get some rest." "Okay," she said, nodding. "Thanks for everything today." "It was my pleasure." We stood there for a moment, not saying anything. Finally, she said, "I'm going up now." "Okay." I looked at her. 3 months. "I'll be waiting." Her eyes were a little red. "Okay." She turned and went upstairs. I stood there, watching until her light came on, then I left. When I got home, the apartment felt so empty. All her things were gone, but her scent was still in the air. The spot on the couch where she always sat, the cup she always used, the place on the balcony where she did yoga. I sat on the couch, took out my phone, and texted her, "Are you settled in?" She replied almost immediately, "Yeah, just organizing." "Don't overdo it. Get some rest." "I will." It was a simple exchange, but it made me feel warm inside. She was still there. Our connection was still there. 3 months. I would wait for her, and in those 3 months, I would prove to her that I was someone she could trust. That night, I sent her my portfolio. A few minutes later, she replied, "These are amazing. I especially love the one in the night sky. It's beautiful. I'm glad you like it." "I love it." I smiled. The next 3 months would be worth the wait. The first week after Stella moved out was tough. There was no one to do yoga with in the morning, no one to eat breakfast with. When I came home at night, the apartment was dark and silent. But we kept in touch. We texted every day, talking about work, life, and everything in between. On the weekend, I went to visit her, helped her with a few things around her new apartment, and we had dinner together. The second week, she asked me to see a movie. There's a new sci-fi movie out. I heard the special effects are incredible. "Sure." "When?" "Saturday afternoon." "Sound good." On Saturday, I got to the theater early. I bought popcorn and drinks and waited for her. She arrived right on time, wearing a light blue dress, her hair in a ponytail. She looked so fresh and beautiful. "Have you been waiting long?" she asked. "No, I just got here." I handed her the popcorn. "This is for you." "Thanks." The movie was amazing. The special effects were breathtaking. During a tense scene, she instinctively grabbed my arm. My heart skipped a beat, but I didn't move. I just let her hold on. When the movie was over, she realized what she was doing and quickly let go. "Sorry, I got too into it." "It's okay," I said. "It was a great movie." "Yeah, definitely worth the price of admission." We went to dinner at a diner afterward. After we ordered, she said, "My boss praised me today. He said my recent ad copy has been really good." "Congratulations," I said, genuinely happy for her. "You're very talented." "Thanks." She smiled. "How have you been?" Same old, same old. Overtime, revisions, dealing with clients. We're in the same boat." We both laughed. The atmosphere was easy and natural, like we were old friends, but with something more. After dinner, I walked her home. At her building, she said, "Want to come up for a bit? I bought some new tea." "Sure." Her new apartment was very cozy. There were a few paintings on the walls, a bookshelf full of books, and a few potted plants on the windowsill. "You've decorated it nicely," I said. "I tried," she said, making tea. "It's my own place, so I wanted it to be comfortable." The tea was jasmine, and it smelled amazing. We sat on her small couch and drank. "Time flies," she said. "It's already been a month." "Yeah." I looked at her. How are you feeling?" "About what?" "About me." I said, being direct. She paused, then looked down at her tea. "A lot better than a month ago." "That's good." "Ethan, she said, looking up. Why do you like me? We haven't known each other for long. Do you even know me? You don't have to know everything about a person to like them, I said. I like that you're real, that you're hardworking, that you have a beautiful smile. I like how focused you are when you do yoga, how engrossed you get in movies, how serious you are when you cook. Isn't that enough? Her eyes welled up. It's enough. It's more than enough. Then what are you still afraid of? I asked. Are you afraid I'll hurt you? I'm not afraid you'll hurt me, she said, shaking her head. I'm afraid of myself. I'm afraid I won't be able to give my whole heart to someone again. I'm afraid I'll let you down. You won't, I said, taking her hand. I believe in you. Her hand trembled in mine. She didn't pull away. She just looked at me. Can you give me a little more time? Okay. I let go of her hand. I told you, I can wait as long as it takes. After that day, we grew even closer. She started asking me out, and we spent our weekends together, grocery shopping, cooking, and watching movies. We were like a couple, but we hadn't made it official yet. The second month, she got sick. It was a bad cold, and she had a fever. She had to take 3 days off work. When I found out, I immediately took the day off to go see her. I bought medicine and soup and rushed to her apartment. She was huddled in bed, looking pale. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice hoarse. I heard you were sick. I wanted to check on you. I touched her forehead. You're still burning up. Have you taken any medicine? I did, but it's not working. I bought some fever reducer. Take some more. I got her a glass of water and helped her sit up to take the medicine. She took it without protest and lay back down. I sat by her bed and tucked her in. You should go back to work. I'm fine, she said. I took the day off. I'm staying with you. I said, are you hungry? I bought soup. A little. I heated up the soup and fed it to her, one spoonful at a time. She ate the whole bowl. Thanks, she said. You're so good to me. Of course. I wiped her mouth. Get some sleep. I'll be here. She closed her eyes and fell asleep quickly. I sat by her bed, watching her, my heart aching for her. In the afternoon, her fever broke, and she was feeling a little better. She sat up in bed, leaning against the headboard, and looked at me. Are you tired? Do you want to go home and rest? I'm not tired, I said. Are you feeling better? Much better. My head doesn't hurt anymore. Good. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, Ethan, I think I'm starting to like you. My heart skipped a beat. Just a little. Yeah, a little more than like, a little less than love, she said seriously. But I'm still scared. Scared of what? I'm scared that this is all too good to be true, that it's just a dream, and I'll wake up and it'll be over, she said. I'm scared I'll get used to you being so good to me, and then I'll lose you. You won't lose me, I said, taking her hand. I'll always be here, unless you tell me to leave. Tears streamed down her face. Why are you so good to me? Because it's you, I said, wiping away her tears. Because it's you, I want to be good. She fell into my arms and cried. I held her, gently patting her back. I knew she was finally opening up, finally letting me in. When she was done crying, she looked up, her eyes red. Ethan, can we try? Try what? Dating, she said. I'm still scared, but I want to try. With you. A wave of joy washed over me. Really? Yeah, she said, nodding. But you have to promise me. If you ever stop liking me, you'll tell me. Don't lie to me. I promise, I said seriously. I'll never lie to you. She smiled. Her eyes were still red, but her smile was so sweet. I leaned in and gently kissed her forehead. When you're better, we'll go on a proper date, I said. Okay. After that day, we were officially together. There was no grand gesture, no romantic ceremony. It just happened naturally. I started picking her up from work, and we spent our weekends together, cooking, watching movies, and just being together. It was the simple life of a normal couple, but we cherished every moment. By the third month, she had completely let her guard down. She would hold my hand in public, lean her head on my shoulder, and bring me food when I had to work late. On the day the 3 months were up, I took her back to where we first met, the elevator in our old building. Remember this place? I asked. I do, she said with a laugh. The first time I saw you, I was in my nightgown. It was so embarrassing. I thought you were beautiful, I said. I knew from that moment that you were special. Really? Really? I said seriously. Stella, it's been 3 months. Are you still scared? She shook her head. Not anymore, because I know you're for real. Then, I took a small box out of my pocket. Will you officially be my girlfriend? I opened the box. Inside were two simple, matching rings. Her eyes widened. What is this? It's too early to propose, so let's just make it official, I said. I want everyone to know that you're my girlfriend. Tears streamed down her face, but this time they were happy tears. I will. I slipped the ring on her finger. It was a perfect fit. She did the same for me. We held hands, our rings sparkling in the light. Nice to meet you, girlfriend, I said. Nice to meet you too, boyfriend, she replied with a smile. We hugged, right there where we first met, and began our love story. From a misunderstanding to a deep love. From temporary roommates to partners for life. It was all meant to be. 1 year later, Stella and I were still together, stronger than ever. We had moved in together, not as roommates, but as a family. Our new apartment was a 2-bedroom, bigger than our old places. I had turned the second bedroom into my art studio, and she had set up a small workspace in the corner of the living room. We had our own spaces, but we were still together. On Saturday morning, I woke up first. I looked at Stella, still sleeping in my arms, and my heart was full. She looked so peaceful, her eyelashes fluttering, her lips slightly parted. I got up quietly and went to make breakfast. The smell of coffee drifted into the bedroom, and she woke up. "Smells good," she said, coming out in her pajamas and hugging me from behind. "You're up? Go get ready. Breakfast is almost ready," I said, turning to kiss her. "Okay." She let go and went to the bathroom. We ate at the table, the sun streaming through the window, warm and bright. "What's the plan for today?" she asked. "Kevin invited us to dinner. His girlfriend is pregnant, and they're celebrating," I said. "Really? That's amazing," she said happily. "We need to get them a gift." "Yeah, let's go to the mall after breakfast." "Okay." We finished breakfast, cleaned up, and went to the mall. We held hands, just a normal couple, shopping for a gift. "What about this?" Stella pointed to a baby clothes gift set. "It's cute," I said. "Let's get it." After we bought the gift, we still had some time, so we wandered around. We passed the jewelry store, and I pulled her inside. "Remember this place?" I asked. "I do," she said with a smile. "This is where you bought this starlight necklace." "Yeah." I pointed to the display. "Look, they have a new collection." In the window were a pair of matching rings, simple but elegant. She blushed. "Do you like them?" I asked. "I do," she said honestly. "Then let's get them." I pulled her into the store. The saleswoman recognized us. "Welcome back. What can I get for you today?" "Those rings," I said, pointing to the window. "Of course, one moment." She took them out, and Stella tried one on. It was a perfect fit. I tried mine on too. It was perfect. "We'll take them," I said. After we paid, we left the store. Stella looked at her new ring, her heart full of sweetness. "Is this an engagement ring?" she asked. "No," I said. "The engagement ring will be more special. This is just for every day, to let everyone know you're taken." She laughed. "You too, to let everyone know you're taken." I wouldn't have it any other way. For lunch, we met up with Kevin. His girlfriend, Lynn, was a sweet and gentle woman. She was 3 months pregnant, but it didn't show yet. "Congratulations," I said, handing them the gift. "Thanks," Kevin said. "So, when are you two getting married?" "I'm about to be a dad, and you're still dragging your feet." I looked at Stella. "Soon." She blushed and didn't say anything. During dinner, Kevin and Lynn shared their stories about trying to get pregnant. Stella listened intently. I looked at her, and an idea started to form in my mind. After dinner, Kevin and Lynn left. Stella and I took a walk in the park. It was autumn, and the leaves were turning yellow. The wind was a little chilly. "Are you cold?" I asked. "No," she said, shaking her head. "Ethan, have you ever thought about getting married?" "I have," I said. "With you." She stopped walking and looked at me. "Really? Really?" I said, stopping too. "I want to marry you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Her eyes turned red. "I've thought about it too, but I was afraid to say anything." "Why?" "I was afraid you would think it was too soon," she said. "We've only been together for a year." "A year is enough," I said, taking her hand. "Some people know each other for 10 years and still don't really know each other. We've only been together for a year, but we've been through a lot. We know each other." She nodded. "Yeah." Then, I took a small box out of my pocket and got down on one knee. "Stella Morgan, will you marry me?" She was stunned. I opened the box. Inside was a diamond ring. It wasn't a big diamond, but it was brilliant. People around us stopped to watch. Some even took out their phones to take pictures. But I only had eyes for her. When, when did you get this? She asked, her voice trembling. A month ago, I said. I was waiting for the right moment. And I think this is it. Stella, I love you. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face, and she nodded vigorously. Yes, yes, I will. I slipped the ring on her finger, stood up, and hugged her. The people around us applauded and cheered. We held each other for a long time before we finally let go. She looked at the ring on her hand, crying and laughing at the same time. You're so unpredictable. It was a surprise, I said, wiping away her tears. Do you like it? I love it. I love it so much. We walked home, hand in hand, smiling the whole way. When we got back, she still felt like she was in a dream. Are we really getting married? She asked. We are, I said. Next spring, what do you think? Okay. We started planning our wedding, talking about who to invite, where to have it, what to wear. As we talked, she leaned her head on my shoulder and fell asleep. I gently picked her up and carried her to bed. I sat by her side, watching her sleep, my heart full of gratitude. I was grateful for the realtor's mistake that made us roommates. Grateful that she gave me a chance, that she let her guard down. Grateful that we met, fell in love, and would now spend the rest of our lives together. Life is full of surprises. Some are bad, some are good. And Stella was the best surprise of my life. From a misunderstanding in a nightgown to a lifetime promise. Our story was just beginning.